Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of year again where I give out my Madden ratings for NFL players. Today we're going to begin with the running backs. I think I started with the quarterbacks last year, so I want to do it in a different order. And yeah, if I sound a little stuffed up, it's because my sinuses are the size of watermelons right now. Allergies, dude. Minnesota was covered in snow, and then it just turned to 70, and everything bloomed out, and now I can't breathe. Couple of plugs before we start. Don't forget to use code WyattzWorld on G Fuel or Prize Picks. You can save yourself a discount on any G Fuel products or match up to $100 of your first deposit. But that's all I've got for plugs. Let's give the running backs their Madden ratings. Alright guys, so here we are at the list today, and to save my breath on explaining something so obvious, the ratings are right there and I'm putting them where I think they belong. So without further ado, let's start with J.K. Dobbins, the Charger now. 83. I like J.K. Dobbins. He's always been productive up until last year when he got hurt after a whopping 8 carries. I think he still can be really good. He's only been in the league for 3 years, but in the last 2, he's only played a total of 9 games, and well, that's just not enough. Next up, we got Jahmyr Gibbs. Madden's not gonna do this because they're a bunch of assholes who never like to give rookies good stats after their first year. But I would give Jahmyr Gibbs an 89, dude. He is elite. Out of any running back this year who had over 180 carries, Jahmyr Gibbs was the second most productive behind only Christian McCaffrey. The kid's a total package, and if he wouldn't have had to split carries with David Montgomery, I still think he could have led the league in rushing yards. For surely would have been top 5. Now we got Aaron Jones. Ooh, 87. Yeah, he's getting older. He missed some time this year. Are we gonna act like he still wasn't dominant when he came back? What were the last 3 games of the season for him again? Like 350 total rushing yards between the 3 of them. The guy averaged like 120 a game. Next, we got Dameon Pierce, 74. I don't think I saw one run out of him this year that I thought was good. Like, he was absolutely ass. Devin Singletary averaged a whole ass yard more than him behind the same exact O-line. Jonathan Taylor, 91. That might seem high to some people because he hasn't played a full season in 2 years, but this year he would have if he didn't hold out, and he is quite literally still that same dude he always was. He had a crazy touchdown spree at the end of last year too. Now we got Travis Etienne. Oh man, this one's gonna get me some banter. 86? Yeah, he scored a lot of touchdowns. Yes, he can catch. But I still stand by my statement. You can go back and look at his game logs to back it up. This guy had like 5, 6, maybe 7 games this year that were complete ass. Or would have been ass if he wasn't saved by like a 5-yard rushing touchdown. Like, he was inconsistent. Now we've got Pikachu. 87, I think that's a good one for him too. Again, you gotta understand with this guy, he just doesn't get the attention. I mean, he gets a good amount. He gets a very consistent amount, but he's never gonna throw up 12, 13, 1,400 yard rushing seasons as long as Patrick Mahomes is his quarterback. Now we got Josh Jacobs, 85. Like I said, he's gotta bounce back. I don't think he's worthless. 85 is not that bad of a rating, but having only 805 yards out of 233 attempts, how am I supposed to have hype for you? Austin Eckler might be the biggest drop off here. 75? Okay, I'm sorry to bring Pro Football Reference into this, but like, you need to see this. Started off the year with 16 carries for 117 yards, got an injury, and he was ass. 10 carries for 11 yards, 13 for 46, 15 for 65, 5 for 9. Decent week there, 14 for 18, 10 for 32. Like, guys, he's come back from injuries before. That's not the same Eckler. I think he is fried. All right, up next we have Cam Akers, who would be like a mid-70, but I'm going to use it on Kyren Williams again, and please don't meme me. I don't want to just make a new category for him. This is Kyren Williams, and I would give him an 89. Dude, he was elite. He was just like Gibbs, except he ran for a little bit more and caught for a little less, although I think he did have like 3 catching touchdowns too. I don't care if it was just one big year out of his 2-year career. You run for nearly 1,200 yards and 12 rushing touchdowns, you should be recognized as one of the better running backs in the game. Now we got Devon Achane. This one stinks. I'm probably going to have to give him an 85, and it's just the fact that he realistically only played like what, half of the year, and yeah, they were freak games, which is why he's getting the 85. But had he played a full season, I'm really wondering what we would have seen. Now we got James Cook, 87. He had a great year, really productive, like I mentioned, proved that he can be deadly in the receiving game, but he does still have some flaws to work out. Still fumbles, still has some butterfingers occasionally, but the good outweighs the bad by far. Now we got Alexander Madison, 70. He was the worst running back I've ever watched for an entire season of my life. He made me miss Matt Asiata. Ramondre Stevenson, 84. He's underrated because of how this year played out for him, but if you look at the man who played 2 years ago, I think he is an exceptional running back. back if he gets the proper attention and workload. Now we've got Alvin Kamara, 85. I just talked about him in the, I think, Najee video. He's still the same package he always was as far as, you know, running and receiving goes, but he just doesn't do it at the level he used to, and that shouldn't shock anybody because that was like 7 years ago that he was a rookie now. Now we got Breece Hall. Ooh, I hate to do this, but probably a 92. Fucking elite, man. He's like a better version of what Eckler used to be. The guy had just under 1,000 rushing yards and just under 600 receiving yards this year with a combination of 9 touchdowns. Better O-line with Aaron Rodgers is just gonna make a better player. That's plain and simple. DeAndre Swift, 86. I do think people underrate him, but I also do think people have to go into consideration that the only outstanding rushing year he's ever had was behind, you know, the same O-line that made Miles Sanders look outstanding for a year. Najee Harris, we'll go 87. Look, I know he didn't have an outstanding freak show year. I know his receiving has been diminishing, but he is a consistent runner. He's a consistent running back, and he's not a bad running back at that. 3 years he's been in the league. He has never missed a game. He has broken 1,000 yards every year and scored at least 7 rushing touchdowns. Respect him. Moving on, we got Christian McCaffrey, and he might actually have one of the most undebatable 99 overall ratings I have ever seen coming off of a previous year. He had 2,000 all-purpose yards and like 21 total touchdowns while having the highest average yard per carry in the entire league out of running back. Undisputedly the best by far. Kenneth Walker, 85, you know, he's kind of like an ETN. He had a lot of games that were saved by touchdowns and a lot that just weren't that pretty, but he wasn't terrible. But he wasn't as good as he was his rookie year at all. Zach Charbonnet, 79. I barely got to see him play. He didn't look terrible, but I just did not see him play a lot at all, and I don't think he really did a lot. Now we got Rachaad White. Used to hate this guy too. He had a really underrated season. I don't think he is the most explosive and best actual player, but he's absolutely capable. I would give Rachaad White probably a 84. Yeah, his 3.6 yards average is kind of holding him down a little bit because that's disgusting. But he ran for 990 and 6 touchdowns and also caught for over 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't think anybody, unless you had him in fantasy or you're a Bucs fan, would have probably guessed that. Now we got Miles Sanders, 73. Not only is he terrible, but he somehow managed to lose his job to a running back who's worse than him. Good contract they gave him, and yeah, Panther fans, my battle with Chuba Hubbard will never come to an end. Derrick Henry, 96. There's no doubt about it, he's slowing down, but he still had a great year. He was still dominating players on the field, just at a slightly less menacing level than what he used to, and that'll again happen when you turn 30. Or in his sake, just get blasted 50 times a game for your entire career. Now we got Brian Robinson Jr. I'll give him an 84 as well. He was pretty good this year. He was actually really effective in the receiving game too. Another guy I was very harsh on, and another guy I can humbly say, hey, I was wrong on. Antonio Gibson, my old favorite running back in the history of history. I used to love him. I have his jersey. I'd give him an 80. He just didn't get a lot of attempts. It's not like he was a terrible running back this year. And for receiving, he almost caught 50 receptions for 400 yards. Like, he had a value, just not what it used to be. Zeke, 78. I think he had one good game, so I'll give him some credit there. Otherwise, he just is continuing to get worse. So weird that like the newer generation's coming in and they don't know what he used to be. Like, he used to be the fucking man. Speaking of someone who used to be the man, we got Delvin Cook, 73. He was absolutely worthless this year to the Jets, and I don't think he helped the Ravens at all when he went there. Like, he didn't do anything. Honestly, at 73 is probably too high. Now we got Leonard Fournette, 71. He wasn't on a roster for majority of the season for a very good reason. He literally had 12 carries with the Bills before he got cut. Now we got Khalil Herbert. He's underrated. I'm gonna go 84. He got hurt this year, but he was productive when he played, even though Justin Fields was taking majority of the carries. And in previous years, whenever he stepped in for David Montgomery, he excelled. One of those guys that when they play, they're good. Dante Foreman. Oh gosh, the biggest hit or miss running back in the history of the world. I'll give him an 81. I'm so serious, and I know I've said this a million times, but you throw him out there, you will either want to bench him in the first quarter or he will put up one of the best games you've ever watched. Now moving on, we got Joe Mixon. 88? Like, I don't want to give him a good rating because I really just don't feel like he's that good, but he hasn't done that bad. To me, he just looks slower. Like, he physically looks slower when I watch him compared to what I saw 4 years ago, which would probably make sense. But he still had over 1,000 yards, 9 rushing touchdowns, caught for 300 yards, I think 3 touchdowns. Averaged 60 yards a game this year, which is actually an improve from last year. Like, I don't know. I guess I have a weird, not a dislike, but a suspicion that we're gonna see a slope from him this year. Now we got Nick Nicholas Jamal Chubb, 95? Gosh, it hurts me. I want to put him in the top tier. He was outstanding before he got hurt, but he got hurt so fast. And yeah, we can use his previous years a little bit because he's been consistently, I think, you know, the best running back in the league when healthy, but you can't hang him up with the two GOATs of the league when he wasn't here this year. Tony P, 85. He wasn't bad this year. He was just disappointing for what I thought he was gonna do. I thought he was gonna be a Breece Hall. I was wrong on that. Next, we got Javonte Williams, and you could blame his offense, you know, for being the big issue, but if you look at the facts, since his injury in 2022, he has not looked the same, even close to the guy we saw the rookie year. If you're asking me, probably like a 82. He's still serviceable. Now we got Honey Bajan, 89. He should have the same rating as Gibbs. This guy's a menace, dude. You can't tackle him when he's running past you. The guy can catch about anything thrown at him. Just his workload was a little bit fucked over because one, his quarterback didn't know how to spell his own name, and his coach worshipped Satan. Then we got James Conner, 86. He is a good running back. Like, he ain't bad at all. He actually just came off of the most productive season of his career. Might not have had 15 touchdowns or whatever he had a couple years ago, but he averaged 5 yards a carry through what, 12 games? And ending, we've got Szechuan. He gets a 90. It wasn't his best rushing season of his career, but still had over 1,000 total yards and 10 total touchdowns. Another reason I'm leaving him up there is because there was not a player on the Giants who exceeded last year. Everybody on that offense was just ass. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for me giving running backs their Madden ratings for Madden 25. If you guys like this video, you already know what to do to show support, and please let me know what position you want to see next. I feel like quarterbacks will be probably the most popular, but I might save that for last. Anyway, have a fantastic and safe Monday. Should be an extra coming either today or tomorrow. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.